A CEO from a food distributor who sells to grocery stores says it will blow your mind actually what the real numbers are and what it's costing most Americans to buy food. He said, but the sad thing is, this is only the beginning if we elect Kamala to win. What kind of warning is he giving to typical Americans who shop at these grocery stores where his food is actually distributed and sold to you? Also, we're going to talk about how the insiders in DC just do not want Trump to win, or anyone that's even associated with conservatism or pushing against the envelope. We're going to discuss some of the leaders on the right side and what they're actually doing to their own people. Then we're going to talk about what's happening across the world. Not Israel, not Ukraine. What just happened in North Korea that should make us not panic, but say, uh-oh, this could get bigger. What did we talk about? October surprises, and are we seeing some of those come to fruition? Let's dive into these stories today. This video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up, it means the world to me, and I humbly ask that you do that. And comment below. We build community by learning from each other and gaining wisdom. The only thing we want to come out of is learning this news and how we can raise our families better. Now let's jump into the first story with Goya Foods. Goya Foods CEO says, we are in a inflation crisis, and it is caused by this administration. Robert Unanue of Goya Foods said that overall prices are up 20.5%. He said, let me tell you, that's all fake news. He said for Goya and for most other distributors and ones that provide for the grocery stores, he said they're actually up around 50%. He said what they do is they skew the numbers to make it feel like you're actually not paying a lot more. He said either with shrinkflation or changing the way that it is sold in unit pricing, or the fact that they try to keep the cost down and the grocery stores are getting subsidies. He said the fact of inflation in food is up 50%. He said not only that, he said it's going to get a lot worse in 2025 for anyone who's shopping at grocery stores if Kamala wins. He said it's unbelievable at what they've done and how they've pulled the rug over people's faces. But the truth is, the food prices are not going down anytime soon. He said it's only going to get worse if she wins. Now, let's think about that for a second. You know, when we think about, Black Friday and Christmas coming up, most people are not worried about buying TVs or electronics. They're actually worried about how they're going to feed their family. Food prices are outrageous. I told you yesterday about McDonald's, and again, I have not ate McDonald's probably in 20 years. But if you see food companies that provide the cheapest, trashiest food to Americans, then saying, look, here's a warning, the people can't afford even our food anymore. And then grocery costs are going up, and he says it's probably already around 50% and it's going to go up even higher. What does that all mean? It is the perfect ploy to put you on the government's docket and the government's dole, to where you have to rely on them to feed you. Now that's a big deal. But we're not going to talk about the fact that they just killed another 1.5 million chickens in America only because they have fears of avian flu. The more they kill your food, the harder they make the supply chain, and the fact that the cost of goods are going up because of inflation, and also the cost of goods because of what they're having to pay their workers and the transportation to get there because the gas is up, is always costing you, the consumer, more. Goya Foods, the guy's probably, a quasi-millionaire. Do you think he actually is worried about, how he's going to pay for his food? Probably not. But here's what I love about people like him. It reminds me of Trump and Musk and all the rest of them. He doesn't have to get out there and push around and tell you the truth. Because remember, the more he tells truth, the more people won't like him. Kind of like the My Pillow guy and things like that. But these guys are willing to stand up and tell you truth. To say, your food is costing you more because of this economy, because of Biden-Harris, and it's only going to get worse. He's willing to say, I'm going to support Trump, and put his weight behind Trump because he wants normal Americans to be able to be independent and have freedoms. You can't do that if all of a sudden you're living on the government's food, their EBT, or the fact of them feeding you because you can't feed yourself. Don't you think that if you get put on their food system and their EBT, that they can change the food system and you'd be eating more soy, more garbage, and less good whole grains and organics? That's exactly what would happen. Did you see this? That North Korea made a comment, and Disclosed News shared this. It says, North Korea orders artillery units near border with South Korea to full fire readiness. They want to be on the border. Now, here's the thing I told you a few weeks ago. If you remember, if all of a sudden Russia keeps pushing Ukraine, and Ukraine's trying to back out now, and all of a sudden we're trying to give them more money to stay in, but say that happens. You see the China-Taiwan situation. Now you see the North Korea-South Korea situation maybe engaging, and then all of a sudden, we're not even going to talk about the Middle East and how it's falling to pieces. If all of a sudden these 4 or 5 different little conflicts break open and start happening even more and more, if Israel goes into Iran, or Iran goes back into Israel, or North Korea does actually use something against South Korea, we don't even have the troops or artillery to handle what we've already gotten, the load that we've gotten by helping Ukraine. Do you think this is a wise move? And again, we have Biden who can't even get a sentence out of his mouth and know where he's even at and get him off a beach to say he's readiness for war. And his second in command is even worse. So when you hear stories like this, it's not the fact that, oh my gosh, we've got to go to war. It's not that. It's the fact that our ally is South Korea. It's kind of like I told you yesterday about France. If France goes to war, we have to go to war because of the stupid NATO alliance. If South Korea gets hit with something, we have to go to war because South Korea will need us to assist them. Again, every enemy of ours is a nuclear power. Let me say that again. Every enemy that we're making, Iran, North Korea, China, Russia, if we build them an axis of evil and build them as the power against us, every one of them have nuclear capabilities or have a stockpile of nuclear weapons that could destroy us or destroy humanity as we know it. We need to quit worrying about Doritos and beer from Kamala and worry about beach chairs with Biden and start electing people who's going to get our grocery prices down and takes the threat of world annihilation off the choice here, off the menu. This is pretty serious because, again, they threaten all the time. But at some point in time, someone's going to stop threatening and start doing something, and then America's young guys are going to war. That's not even prepared because, again, our military hasn't been trained. They've been taught DEI lessons and about all the inclusion issues and actually not taught how to be military men. This kind of leads me to the next point. All these military people are coming out against Trump. Did you know that about 90% of all establishment politicians are against Trump that's in Washington, D.C.? Now, you tell me this. For the last, 30, 40, 50 years, what has actually worked in Washington? Do we honestly believe the insiders and the people that are corrupt in Washington actually know better than normal Americans? We can't win wars anymore. We can't take care of Americans anymore. We're allowing our border to be infiltrated. We're allowing our own government to sue our states. And they're the people telling you not to elect Trump. That gives me all the reason to want to elect him even more. Is that most people think that he would cause problems. Well, that's probably good because the problems will actually start fixing some of the things that's going wrong and we'll start having solutions again. Former CIA Director John Brennan, shocked that not more Americans are listening to what is clearly going on. It's a danger to elect Trump back into office. Now, this is from the same guy who sold out on America and had ties to other big governments across the world, who lied to you and didn't take care of things going on around the world. Do we honestly want these people back in power? No, we want true leadership and not weak men. Mark Milley yesterday coming out saying the same thing. It's like, are we supposed to be impressed with this? Are we supposed to be impressed that Dick Cheney doesn't like Donald Trump? Are we supposed to be impressed that all these leftist loons and all these establishment politicians don't like Donald Trump? That's actually a really good thing. And you know, this is what blows my mind. I'm not the biggest Ted Cruz fan. I'll be honest with you. I think that he tries to play both a little bit, but he does tend to be more conservative. So I give him a good little cred there. But listen to this, what he said. He broke a huge story, I thought. Senator Ted Cruz calls out McConnell, says he has not given me a penny for election. He said McConnell runs the largest Republican super PAC in the country. It is $400 million, but the super PAC will not use it to help people like me. The only people he will help is the ones that obey him and that will kowtow to him. He said he'll punish the ones by not giving them money who dare to challenge him. So people like McConnell, is he actually fighting for your side, or is he fighting for his own freaking power? When he turns around and says, okay, we'll allow a Democrat to win Texas because we're not going to help Cruz because he bucks me a little bit. That's why when McConnell leaves, it'll be another trashy, crappy leader in the Republicans because that's how the power works. That's why I don't care about Washington insiders and establishment. That's why I want to see a whole breakdown of the system up there. And that way Trump and whomever he sees fit could go up there and almost demolish these establishments. Because these establishments have done nothing for you. Name one thing McConnell has done for you. The only thing I think in 50 years or 40 years, however long he served, that I can remember that he's actually done was when he held up Merrick Garland's Supreme Court choice. That was the only thing I've actually seen him do over the last 40 or 50 years. You know, and it's sad that we're in a point where our leader of the Republican Party, basically, in the Senate, we can't name one thing he's actually done for conservatism and Christians and freedom and liberty more than just one time. And now he's withholding money from people who are trying to be conservatives, who are in the fight of their lives for Senate races to keep the vote and to keep the Senate right. But no, it's more about principles based on what McConnell wants and not what is good for the country. This is the kind of stuff that happens in Washington. Jasmine Crockett, the wonderful Democrat, says this. She's a congressman. Listen to what she says. She says, you should fear the white people, and you should fear MAGA. They're the ones that's actually tearing the cities down. They're the ones stealing and looting. It's not the migrants. It's the MAGA. It's the white conservatives that's doing all this. Now, come on. If anybody believes that, then they should not have a right to vote. That's ridiculous. But this lady is saying this in a serious fashion on MSNBC, and they're giving her the time to say it. Saying that the Democrats are not doing this. That's actually MAGA doing this. That's tearing the cities up. That's thieving and causing problems. The white conservatives. Isn't that funny? I want to end with one more story, and this is what we're going to see in America if we keep allowing all these people to flood our borders. Thousands of Islamists gathered tonight in Hamburg, in Germany, to demand introduction of Sharia law. Now, this is happening in Great Britain, too. There's thousands of people lined up on the street for Sharia law. So all you feminists and all you left women, single women who want to vote for Kamala, and you keep allowing this to happen, what's so funny is you're going to be put under Sharia law, which means all you people that's on the LGB alphabetical soup, and the fact of all these women who are leftist liberals and feminists will actually be considered lower class citizens when this takes place. So you're allowing the demise of your own groups based on the open borders and allowing these kind of people to flood into America. What's happening in Germany, what's happening all across Europe, what's happening in the fact of all these murders and all these crimes taking place, it's going to keep on happening here until one day you will see Islamists take over and see the fact that Germany, just like what Germany's having to go through, is that they want to introduce Sharia law. Is this what we should want? You know who executed the most people in the world the last few years? It was Saudi Arabia. It was Iran. It was the Middle Eastern countries that have these kind of laws in place where they could take you out and just hang you. They could shoot you. They can kill you for whatever they want to kill you for. Freedom and democracy. No, that's not what this is. So while these Democrats are opening the borders, they're actually causing the demise of all these places. And one day it's going to be like, you know, what were you thinking? And I'm scared it's going to be too late for us to do anything if we allow Kamala to win. So we hear a CEO of a food industry warning all the way down to North Korea stacking artillery on the border. Our own leadership won't even support people like Ted Cruz to win, to stay in power, because he didn't kowtow to McConnell. We're living in a topsy-turvy world, and it takes good conservatives and people who are freedom-minded to start listening and start making their voice be heard. If not, I'm scared what's going to happen in the next 4 years. We need Trump. Less than a month. Let's see what happens. God bless.
Be free.